Thank you very much. The chair now recognizes Representative Hageman for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and a special thank you to each of the witnesses for your attendance at this important hearing today. Coal plays an essential role in the Wyoming and U.S. economy. More than 40% of the coal produced in this country comes from the state of Wyoming. Coal mining provides thousands of jobs and produces billions of dollars in direct state and federal revenue. Coal production helps fund our schools, our hospitals and clinics, and other essential services. Aside from the hundreds of millions of dollars Wyoming coal provides for the state, it also contributes hundreds of millions in royalties to the federal government. Despite all of the contributions of the coal economy to the prosperity and progress of this nation, this administration has perpetuated a lie that coal production is the problem. They have fed the American people a false narrative that so-called green energy is reliable. However, we've been reminded time and time again that there are consequences for weakening our baseload energy, the most recent example of this being in Texas in 2021. The federal leasing program has been essential to strengthening the baseload, particularly in western states whose lands are heavily controlled by the federal government. The federal coal leasing program has been a means of securing affordable and reliable baseload energy for decades, with significant returns to both the states as well as the federal government. Mr. Luthi, how would you anticipate changes to the federal coal leasing program from the Biden administration to alter our ability to secure a reliable baseload in the future?
Mr. Chairman, Congresswoman Hageman, thank you. Basically, what we need is we actually need to resume the coal leasing program. There's been a lot of testimony, facts, and figures that some companies have, great reserves. But what isn't shown is how those reserves fit in with the overall company's ability to get to the coal. I'll give you a slight example. As you move forward with coal, as you take the coal out of the mines, as you well know, you also start your reclamation on the back end. And Congresswoman Hageman, you missed some very interesting pictures of what is purported to be lack of reclamation, but what we didn't see were pictures of actual thousands of acres of reclamation that has been completed. In fact, I would invite this subcommittee to come visit and look at some of this reclamation to see what's available. But to circle back, Congresswoman Hageman, we need the process to open up again. It takes years to get through the environmental reviews. Let's once again give those companies some surety that they can move forward. We need coal, we need carbon capture.
Well, and one of the things that I would say about the reclamation is, having been there myself on numerous occasions, seeing the incredible habitat that has been created for a variety of wildlife species. I would also say that it's so critically important to continue to be able to access our coal resources for the very reason that it is the one of the very few things that stands between us and energy poverty. The Green New Deal, the green energy that is being pushed by this administration, is causing and will continue to cause energy poverty. And I believe that people who pursue policies that result in energy poverty are immoral. And I think that adequately describes this administration. Will keeping coal in the ground provide any return to taxpayers? Mr. Luthi?
Thank you, Congresswoman. No, it does not. Currently there are royalties, bonus bids, and rentals that would be shared between the state and federal government. Doing nothing gets exactly that, nothing.
Mr. Adams, in the current state of the market, we have been hearing a lot from Wyoming coal companies that the onerous bonus bid process of having to pay hundreds of millions up front is a huge hurdle for new leasing. And we also hear that the price per ton is grossly inconsistent with coal prices. Mr. Adams, can you expound on how bonus bids have acted as a major hurdle to NTC?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for the question, Congresswoman. The way the process works right now is they're on a lease by application or a lease by modification. Application is a larger swath of coal that I would obtain. A modification is a smaller bid. In this case, I'm going to talk about a lease by modification because I can shoehorn in one of the experiences that we're actually dealing with right now with the BLM. The way it works is that a company goes and applies for more coal. For example, in 2016, we went and applied for a very small tract of land, or small tract of coal, just 15 million tons. It was very small. And we obtained that. And then we had to pay for that coal over 5 years. So it was divided into fifths, and we paid for that entire amount of coal. We then paid for that, and now we've been waiting since while the ASLM, the Assistant Secretary for Land and Minerals, has been sitting on that project. It's in her bottom left-hand drawer, waiting to give us permission to enter that land so we can actually go get the coal. I think it's right underneath the file that our Montana plant, or that our Montana lawsuit is also sitting there. But the problem is that if we wanted to go get a larger tonnage, for example, if we talked, you heard earlier that the ranking member said that there's only 20 years of coal left in Wyoming, which is a problem because, as Mr. Lucy testified earlier, it takes 8 to 12 years to get new coal. So that means there's a gap. If we want more coal for the future, we need to be acting now to get more coal. So if historically LBAs, at least by application, is a large bid to go get coal for the future, would be 500 million tons, 500 million tons. I would go get that. And let's say I get that bid at $1 a ton. Okay, so that's not my royalty. That's just the bonus bid to go buy that. So I would have, that's a $500 million that as a company I'm committing. Right now, in today's environment, $500 million is a whole lot for the largest coal company in the world, which I'm not. So it's just economically, and it's just not feasible but let's pretend it is. Let's say we win Powerball tonight, and as a tax-exempt entity, we decide to take that whole winner and flip it into a coal bid. I have to pay that in the next 5 years. I have to come up with that $500 million and give it to the federal government. Then I'm gonna wait 8 to 12 years before I can put a shovel in the ground in hopes of getting a penny of revenue from that coal. So I have a 3 to 8 year gap after paying $500 million. That doesn't make sense. That's not an investment that if I'm a public company, I can take to my shareholders and keep my job. It just doesn't, that's just not an investment that makes sense in today's day and age. We have to be able to reform that. And then after I get that, then we're talking about the royalties. And I'm making all of my expenses along the way to develop that land. I still have all my consulting fees, my legal fees, all my development fees. I got to get my overburden removal taken care of. There's so many expenses between here and there. The economic burdens of getting to that new coal and getting that new ton, it's just an overwhelming prospect, and margins are nowhere close to what they were decades ago. The economic realities of being a coal miner and providing energy for America today, we just don't understand. The general public doesn't understand anymore of what it is. It's a very difficult business.
Well, Mr. Adams, I thank you for that answer. I know that we're out of time, but I think what you've described is that our government has become the enemy of the people. It's something we need to fix, and we'll work on it. I also would like to invite the committee to come to Wyoming to see the beautiful work we do to make everybody's life better. Thank you for letting me participate. With that, I yield back.
You're welcome.